Greetings, fellow RC enthusiasts. My name is David. You're watching KCRC. Welcome to the channel. Not the videos you were expecting, I'm sure. Not a run video today. I figured I would make a video to answer a lot of common questions I get on my videos, namely, how do I shoot them, what gear do I use, etc. So the best way for me to do that is to show you. So without further ado, let's get on with it. First, two things. One, I am not a professional. I have a background in photography, but I have not been doing videography very long, probably a year and a half at most. So what I'm going to say is from the point of view of a novice. These are things that work for me. This is how I do it. It's not necessarily the correct way or the best way, but if you're interested in knowing how I do it, stick around, stay tuned. Second, I'm doing this from the point of view of someone who wants to shoot videos of cars, buggies, whatever, at the same time as drive them. And so basically one-man show. If you've got somebody who can come along and shoot for you or drive for you, then the creative possibilities are much greater. But if you're a one-man show like I am, this is how I do it. So I figured I'd split it up into three parts. First, the gear that I use. Second, some of the settings that you need to use. And thirdly, just technique. So let's get into it. First, gear. That's the easy one. Gopro Hero 9. I started with a Canon point and shoot and a selfie stick from the dollar store. I use this predominantly for motovlogging on motorcycles, but it's been repurposed for RC duty. So I use Hero 9 GoPro mount, and then this is something I use when I'm doing photography. It's basically a light stand. It's for umbrellas and flashes, but essentially it's a monopod. And this is what I use to shoot. Normally it's got some tripod feet attached to the bottom. I take them off, mount the camera, and basically when I'm shooting I just hold the camera upside down like this. Obviously I can extend it out and drive with my left hand, shoot with my right, follow the car, and do my best not to run into anything. So that's the camera. The other gear you're going to need is a controller. Unfortunately, if you're a one-man show like I am, you can't really use sticks. So you are left with trigger, gun, pistol type controllers. Any will work fine. It's a lot easier to do if the steering is easily reachable with your thumb. Some of the controllers, the steering can be quite far away from the grip, and so it makes it that much harder. So if you can easily steer with your thumb, it will make life a lot easier. And so that's the gear, basically. Controller, monopod, GoPro. Sometimes I will use a mirrorless camera, what I'm shooting this on, mounted on a tripod if I want to get some shallow depth of field shots, or I just want a different look to a GoPro. But they're usually static shots where the camera is static. I did try a few times to mount that camera on here and use it like I would use the GoPro, but it's kind of bulky and unwieldy, and the stabilization isn't as good as the GoPro, so it didn't really work out. So yeah, that's it for gear really. GoPro, monopod, gun type controller. Next, the settings. If there's interest, I will go through detail in another video about what settings I use in the GoPro, but essentially you want to shoot in 4K 60 frames per second. You want to set your white balance manually and bitrate to high, and go on a GoPro sharpening mid to low. Those are the settings I use. The reason I shoot at 60 frames per second is because when I edit, I bring my footage into a 24 frames per second timeline, and that allows me to slow my footage down by up to 40%, and so I get much smoother footage. So that's why I shoot 60 frames per second. And then lastly, technique. Technique is just, you just got to practice. When I started, I was terrible absolutely terrible. I recommend you start in an open space first. Once you get good driving one-handed, the next challenge is, because it is challenging, you're trying to drive with one hand while shooting with the other and trying to keep the car in the frame and keep this as steady as possible, because obviously the more you shake this around, the worse the footage is going to be. The GoPro has very good image stabilization, but you need to help it as much as possible, but by keeping the camera as steady as possible. And of course the car's moving, and then you need to, well, usually I'm jogging or running with the car. I mean, I get a lot of comments like I'm using a drone or something, how did I shoot it? Nah, it's just me running after a car like I would run after a dog. Trying not to run into anything, which I'm not always successful at. Got a few bumps on my head from hitting swings and jungle gyms and stuff. So that's why I recommend you start off in a kind of like open area. But yeah, that's it basically. Try and keep the camera as steady as possible. You get a good workout by the end of it. Try and do it in an open area where at least somewhere where if you make a mistake, you're not gonna like fall into a river or something like that. Not that I would know. My Optima never once touched the water. Me on the other hand, that's a different matter. So yeah, that's it really. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, let me know in the comments. If you want any more kind of tips on how to shoot, once again, I am not an expert. Let me know and I'll make another video. I don't really want to go into the GoPro settings today because it's quite, the Pro Tune settings are quite complicated and it will take a while, and people tell me I tend to waffle on, so I should end this video here. I will possibly make a video on the Kyosho Mini Z Jimny, possibly. Just got it, it's completely bog standard, including pogo sticks. But that's for another day. Well, my name is David, you've been watching KCRC. Thanks for tuning in, I'll see you in the next video.